Have you ever stopped to wonder why some people seem to move through life with such ease while others constantly struggle, even when they have similar talents and opportunities? What makes one person see obstacles as exciting challenges while another sees them as insurmountable walls? The answer isn't luck, privilege, or genetics. It's something far more powerful and far more accessible to every single one of us. It's mindset. The way you think about yourself, your capabilities, and your potential determines the trajectory of your entire life more than any external factor ever could. Right now, in this very moment, your mind is either your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle. It's either opening doors for you or slamming them shut before you even knock. It's either telling you that you're capable of extraordinary things or whispering that you should stay small, stay safe, stay stuck. And here's the revolutionary truth that changes everything: you get to choose which voice wins. You have the power to reset your mindset, to reprogram the mental software that's been running your life, and to create an entirely new way of thinking that propels you toward the success you deserve. This isn't about positive thinking or empty affirmations. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist or forcing yourself to be happy all the time. This is about something much deeper and far more transformative. This is about understanding how your mind actually works, recognizing the patterns that have been holding you back, and systematically rebuilding your mental foundation so that success becomes not just possible but inevitable. Let's start with a fundamental question: why does mindset matter so much? Think about two people facing identical challenges. Maybe they're both starting a new business, learning a new skill, or recovering from a setback. One approaches the situation with curiosity, determination, and a belief that effort leads to improvement. The other approaches it with fear, doubt, and a conviction that their abilities are fixed. Who do you think is more likely to succeed? The answer seems obvious, but here's what most people miss: the difference between these two people isn't necessarily innate. It's not that one was born optimistic and the other pessimistic. It's that they've developed different ways of interpreting their experiences, different beliefs about what's possible, different stories about who they are and what they're capable of. And these beliefs, these stories, these interpretations can all be changed. This is where the concept of fixed versus growth mindset becomes crucial. A fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents are carved in stone. You're either good at something or you're not. You're either smart or you're not. You either have what it takes or you don't. People with this mindset spend enormous energy trying to prove themselves, terrified of failure because every mistake feels like confirmation of their inadequacy. But there's another way. A growth mindset is the understanding that abilities can be developed, that intelligence can be expanded, that talents can be cultivated through dedication and effort. People with this mindset don't fear challenges because they see them as opportunities to grow. They don't avoid failure because they understand its essential feedback on the path to mastery. They don't compare themselves to others because they're focused on becoming better than they were yesterday. Here's what's so powerful about understanding this distinction: your mindset isn't fixed. Even if you've spent decades thinking in limiting ways, even if your entire life has been shaped by a fixed mindset, you can change. Your brain has this remarkable quality called neuroplasticity, which means it's constantly rewiring itself based on what you think, feel, and do. Every time you choose a growth-oriented thought over a limiting one, you're literally creating new neural pathways, building new mental highways that make that positive thinking easier the next time. Think of your mind like a garden. For years, maybe decades, certain thoughts have been growing there like weeds. Thoughts like "I'm not good enough," or "I always fail at this," or "that's just not who I am." These thoughts have deep roots because they've been there so long, watered by repetition and reinforced by selective attention to evidence that confirms them. But here's the beautiful truth: you can plant new seeds. You can cultivate different thoughts. And with consistent care and attention, those new thoughts can grow stronger than the old ones ever were. But understanding the power of mindset is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you start identifying and dismantling the specific limiting beliefs that have been running your life. These beliefs operate like invisible chains, restricting your movement without you even realizing they're there. They sound like this: people like me don't succeed at that. I'm too old to change. I don't have what it takes. I've always been this way. It's too late for me. I'm not the kind of person who. Where do these beliefs come from? Most of them were installed in childhood, absorbed from parents, teachers, peers, and culture before you had the critical thinking skills to question them. Maybe a teacher told you that you weren't good at math, and you've carried that identity for 40 years. Maybe your family had certain beliefs about money or success that you internalized without realizing it. Maybe you tried something once, failed, and decided that meant you couldn't do it rather than that you hadn't learned how yet. The insidious thing about limiting beliefs is that they create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe you're bad at public speaking, you'll avoid it, never practice, and therefore remain bad at it, which confirms your belief. If you believe you're not a disciplined person, you won't build disciplined habits, and your lack of discipline will seem to prove you right. Your beliefs shape your actions create your results, and your results reinforce your beliefs in an endless cycle. But you can break that cycle. The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't see. Start paying attention to the stories you tell yourself, especially in moments of stress or challenge. What's the narrative running through your mind? Is it empowering or limiting? Is it helping you move forward or keeping you stuck? Once you catch yourself in a limiting belief, don't just accept it as truth. Question it. Where did this belief come from? Is it absolutely true, or is it just a story I've been telling myself? What evidence contradicts this belief? What would I do if I didn't believe this anymore? Then comes the crucial step, replacement. You can't just eliminate a belief and leave a vacuum. You need to consciously choose a new, more empowering belief to take its place. If your old belief was "I'm not creative," your new belief might be "I'm developing my creativity through practice and experimentation." If your old belief was "I always quit when things get hard," your new belief might be "I'm building my resilience and learning to push through challenges." This isn't about lying to yourself or engaging in delusional positive thinking. It's about recognizing that your old beliefs were interpretations, not facts, and choosing interpretations that serve you better. It's about telling a story about yourself that opens possibilities rather than closes them. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This process of mindset transformation isn't just mental. It's physical. Your brain is physically changing as you do this work. Neuroscience has shown us that the brain remains plastic, moldable, throughout our entire lives. When you repeatedly think a new thought, practice a new behavior, or choose a new response, you're building new neural connections. At first, these new pathways are weak, like barely visible trails through a forest. But with repetition, they get stronger, more established, more automatic. Meanwhile, the old pathways, the old patterns you're no longer using, gradually weaken. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. It's not about having one massive breakthrough or one perfect day. It's about small, repeated choices that gradually rewire your brain. Every time you catch a negative thought and reframe it, you're strengthening your new mental muscles. Every time you take action despite fear, you're building new pathways of courage. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're literally reshaping your brain. But mindset work isn't just about what happens in your head. It's intimately connected to what you do with your body and how you structure your environment. Your thoughts influence your actions, but your actions also influence your thoughts. This is why building identity-based habits is so powerful. Instead of just setting goals about what you want to achieve, you start thinking about who you want to become. The difference is subtle but profound. Instead of saying "I want to write a book," you say "I am a writer." Instead of "I want to get in shape," you say "I am someone who takes care of my body." Instead of "I want to be more confident," you say "I am becoming a confident person." When you shift your identity, your behaviors naturally align. Writers write. Healthy people make healthy choices. Confident people take courageous actions. You're not forcing yourself to do things that feel foreign. You're simply acting in accordance with who you've decided to be. This is where the power of tiny habits comes in. You don't need massive transformation overnight. In fact, trying to change everything at once usually leads to burnout and failure. Instead, you start with small, almost ridiculously small actions that align with your new identity. Want to be a reader? Read one page. Want to be athletic? Do one push-up. Want to be organized? Make your bed. These actions might seem insignificant, but they're sending a powerful message to your brain: this is who I am now. This is what I do. And hey, erase the magic. These small actions compound just like money in a savings account. Small daily deposits of positive action grow exponentially over time. If you improve by just 1% each day, by the end of a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. Not because you made heroic efforts, but because you showed up consistently with small manageable actions that gradually became who you are. But let's be honest about something: this journey isn't always easy. There will be moments when your old patterns reassert themselves with force. There will be days when the negative self-talk feels overwhelming. There will be times when you doubt whether any of this is working. This is normal. This is part of the process. The difference between people who transform and people who stay stuck isn't that the successful ones never struggle. It's that they've learned to manage their internal experience differently. Let's talk about that inner critic, that voice in your head that seems dedicated to tearing you down. Everyone has this voice. It's the one that says you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, that you should just give up. For most people, this voice is so constant, so familiar, that they don't even recognize it as separate from themselves. They think it's just the truth, just reality, just how things are. But here's what you need to understand: that voice is not you. It's not the truth. It's not reality. It's a protective mechanism that your brain developed, usually in childhood, to keep you safe from rejection, failure, and pain. The problem is, it's trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. It thinks that if you never try, you can never fail. If you never put yourself out there, you can never be rejected. If you stay in your comfort zone, you'll never experience the discomfort of growth. This voice needs to be recognized for what it is: a scared part of you trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. You don't need to fight it or hate it. You can actually thank it for trying to keep you safe, and then gently let it know that you're choosing a different path. You can acknowledge the fear without letting it dictate your actions. One powerful technique is to externalize this voice. Give your inner critic a name. Call it the doubter, or the protector, or whatever feels right to you. When you hear it start up, instead of thinking "I'm not good enough," you can think, "Oh, there's the doubter again, trying to keep me small." This simple act of separation gives you power. It helps you recognize that these thoughts are just thoughts, not truth. You can observe them, acknowledge them, and choose not to believe them. Then comes the crucial step of replacement. Every time the doubter speaks, you respond with a more empowering voice. This isn't about arguing or fighting. It's about consistently offering yourself a better alternative. When the doubter says you'll never succeed, you respond with "I'm learning and growing every day." When it says you always mess things up, you respond with "I make mistakes, and that's how I learn and improve." When it says you're not the kind of person who, you respond with "I'm becoming the kind of person who." This practice of conscious self-talk is one of the most powerful tools you have for mindset transformation. The words you use with yourself matter enormously. They shape your emotional state, influence your actions, and ultimately determine your results. Most people would never speak to a friend the way they speak to themselves. They're harsh, critical, unforgiving. But what if you treated yourself with the same kindness, patience, and encouragement you'd offer someone you love? This isn't about being soft on yourself or making excuses. It's about creating an internal environment that supports growth rather than sabotages it. Think about it. If you had a coach who constantly told you that you were terrible, that you'd never improve, that you should just quit, would you perform better or worse? Obviously worse. But that's exactly what many people do to themselves every single day. The solution isn't more criticism. It's more compassion combined with more commitment. Now let's talk about something that often derails people on their transformation journey: emotional triggers. You can have the best mindset in the world, but one critical comment, one rejection, one setback can send you spiraling if you don't know how to manage your emotional responses. Emotions are powerful. They can motivate you or paralyze you. They can inspire courageous action or drive you into hiding. Learning to work with your emotions rather than being controlled by them is essential for sustainable transformation. An emotional trigger is anything that sparks an intense emotional reaction in you. Maybe it's criticism, rejection, feeling ignored, feeling disrespected, or any number of things. When you're triggered, your rational mind goes offline and your emotional brain takes over. You're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. In this state, you can't think clearly, make good decisions, or respond effectively. You react automatically, usually in ways you later regret. The key to managing triggers is creating space between stimulus and response. When something triggers you, instead of immediately reacting, you pause. Just for a moment. Take a breath. Count to 5. Feel the emotion without acting on it. In that tiny pause, you reclaim your power. You move from automatic reaction to conscious response. Then you name what you're feeling. I'm feeling angry right now. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling scared. Why does this help? Because naming an emotion activates the thinking part of your brain and calms the emotional part. You move from being overwhelmed by the feeling to observing it. You're no longer the emotion. You're the person experiencing the emotion. That distinction gives you choice. Next, you question the story you're telling yourself about what happened. Most emotional pain doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the meaning you assign to it. Someone doesn't respond to your message, and you decide it means they don't respect you. Someone criticizes your work, and you decide it means you're a failure. But these meanings are interpretations, not facts. By questioning your story, you open up other possibilities. Maybe they were busy. Maybe the criticism was about one specific thing, not about your worth as a person. This is sophisticated emotional intelligence, and it's a skill you can develop. The more you practice, the faster you can move from triggered to centered, from reactive to responsive, from emotional chaos to emotional mastery. And this matters enormously for your mindset transformation because you can't think clearly when you're emotionally hijacked. Your best thinking, your most empowered choices, your most aligned actions all come from a state of emotional equilibrium. Now let's address something crucial, your environment. You can do all this internal work, but if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, your transformation will be an uphill battle. Your environment includes the people you spend time with, the media you consume, the physical spaces you inhabit, and the daily routines you follow. All of these are either supporting your new mindset or undermining it. Let's start with people. There's a saying that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't just a nice metaphor. It's backed by research. We unconsciously adopt the attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, and even the vocabulary of the people around us. If you're surrounded by people who complain, doubt, and play small, you'll find yourself doing the same. If you're surrounded by people who dream big, take action, and persist through challenges, their mindset becomes contagious. This doesn't mean you need to cut everyone out of your life. But it does mean being strategic about who you give your time and energy to. Are the people in your inner circle lifting you up or dragging you down? Do they believe in growth or are they invested in keeping things the same? Do they encourage your dreams or do they pour cold water on your ambitions? Sometimes growth means creating boundaries with people who aren't supporting your transformation. Sometimes it means spending less time with certain individuals and more time with others who energize and inspire you. This can feel uncomfortable, even painful. But remember, your transformation isn't selfish. By becoming the best version of yourself, you become capable of contributing more to everyone around you. You can't pour from an empty cup. Seek out people who are where you want to be or heading in the direction you want to go. Join communities, online or in person, focused on growth and development. Find mentors, coaches, or simply friends who challenge you to think bigger. Surround yourself with people who make you feel like more is possible, who remind you of your potential when you forget, who celebrate your wins and encourage you through your struggles. Your physical environment matters too. Look around the space where you spend most of your time. Does it inspire you or drain you? Is it cluttered and chaotic or clean and organized? Does it reflect who you're becoming or who you used to be? Small changes to your environment can have surprisingly large impacts on your mindset. Clear the clutter. Add things that inspire you, quotes, images, books, whatever reminds you of your goals and your identity. Create a space that signals to your brain, this is where transformation happens. And let's talk about your information diet. What are you feeding your mind every day? What media are you consuming? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What social media accounts are you following? Just like your body is shaped by what you eat, your mind is shaped by what you consume. If you're constantly taking in negativity, drama, outrage, and fear, that's what your mind will produce. If you're taking in inspiration, wisdom, possibility, and growth, that's the lens through which you'll see the world. Be intentional about this. Curate your information intake as carefully as you'd curate your diet if you were training for an athletic competition. Because you are training. You're training your mind for peak performance, for resilience, for success. Now, let's talk about something people often resist, failure. Our culture has such a negative relationship with failure. We're taught to avoid it, hide it, be ashamed of it. But here's the truth that every successful person understands, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. It's the tuition you pay for mastery. It's the feedback that tells you what to adjust. It's the proof that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone into growth. Think about how children learn to walk. They fall constantly. Hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Do they see each fall as evidence that they're not meant to walk? Do they give up in shame? No. They just keep trying because they haven't yet learned to interpret failure as a reflection of their worth. They see it as information. That didn't work, let me try something slightly different. Somewhere along the way to adulthood, we lose this natural resilience. We start taking failure personally. We start seeing it as proof of our inadequacy rather than evidence of our courage to try. But we can reclaim that childlike relationship with failure. We can learn to fail forward, to extract the lessons, to use setbacks as setups for comebacks. This requires reframing how you think about failure. Instead of I failed, therefore I'm a failure, you think I failed at this attempt, and here's what I learned that will help me succeed next time. Instead of avoiding failure at all costs, you actively seek it out because you know it's where the learning happens. Instead of hiding your failures in shame, you share them with pride because they're proof that you're in the arena, taking risks, going for big goals. The most successful people you can think of have failed more than most people have tried. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They didn't make it mean something about their worth. They used it as fuel, as feedback, as fertilizer for future growth. So as you move forward on this journey of mindset transformation, I want you to make a commitment to embrace failure. Actively put yourself in situations where you might fail. Take that risk. Have that conversation. Start that project. Make that pitch. And when you inevitably encounter setbacks, because you will, don't retreat. Don't conclude that you're not cut out for this. Extract the lesson, adjust your approach, and try again. This brings us to perhaps the most important quality you can develop, resilience. Resilience is your ability to bounce back from difficulty, to keep going when things get hard, to maintain your commitment to your goals even when obstacles appear. It's not about never feeling discouraged or defeated. It's about feeling those things and continuing anyway. Resilience is built through experience. Every time you face a challenge and persist through it, you're building your resilience muscles. Every time you feel like quitting and choose to continue, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. Every time you fall and get back up, you're reinforcing the belief that you can handle whatever comes. And here's what's beautiful, as you build resilience, challenges that once would have devastated you become manageable. Setbacks that once would have ended your journey become temporary obstacles. You develop an unshakable core, a deep knowing that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. You'll adapt. You'll overcome. You'll grow. This is the mindset that changes everything. This is what makes you unstoppable. Not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of resilience. Not the avoidance of failure, but the willingness to fail forward. Not the elimination of fear, but the courage to act despite it. So here's where all of this comes together into a practical framework you can use every single day. Your mindset isn't something you set once and forget. It's something you cultivate daily through intentional practices. Just like you brush your teeth and shower to maintain physical hygiene, you need daily practices to maintain mental and emotional hygiene. Start your day with intention. Before you check your phone, before you jump into the demands of the day, take a few minutes to set your mental state. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for? What's my intention for today? Who do I choose to be? These simple questions prime your brain for positivity, purpose, and power. Throughout the day, practice awareness. Notice your thoughts, especially the automatic negative ones. When you catch yourself in limiting thinking, pause and reframe. Notice your emotional state. When you feel yourself getting triggered, use the tools we've discussed to regain equilibrium. Notice your actions. Are they aligned with who you're becoming, or are you falling into old patterns? End your day with reflection. What went well today? What did I learn? What am I proud of? This isn't about toxic positivity or ignoring problems. It's about training your brain to notice progress, to see evidence of growth, to build a narrative of capability rather than inadequacy. These daily practices might seem simple, even trivial. But this is where transformation actually happens. Not in the big dramatic moments, but in the small daily choices that compound over time. This is how you reset your mindset. This is how you become the person capable of achieving your biggest goals. Remember, this journey isn't about perfection. You're going to have bad days. You're going to slip back into old patterns. You're going to doubt yourself in this process. That's all normal. That's all part of it. The difference between people who transform and people who stay stuck isn't that the successful ones never struggle. It's that they keep going anyway. They forgive themselves for the setbacks and recommit to the process. You have everything you need right now to begin this transformation. You don't need to wait until you're more ready, until circumstances are better, until you have more confidence. You start where you are with what you have, and you begin. One thought at a time. One choice at a time. One day at a time. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. When you learn to direct it consciously, when you reset your mindset from limitation to possibility, from fix to growth, from fear to courage, everything changes. Not overnight. Not magically. But gradually, persistently, inevitably. The life you dream of isn't waiting for perfect circumstances. It's waiting for you to become the person capable of creating it. And that person is you, with a transformed mindset, ready to take on whatever comes, ready to grow through every challenge, ready to become everything you're capable of being. Your transformation starts now. Your new mindset begins with this very moment. The question isn't whether you can change. The question is, will you?